You're watching Suncoast FYI on SNN. Hank Didier is founding partner of ERG Law Firm, a statewide firm dedicated solely to representing clients under the BP settlement program. So welcome.
Well, thank you very much.
Nice to see you here. So tell us, who is included in the settlement program?
The settlement program is very broad. It really applies to almost every type of business here in the local area, except for some big carve-outs like banks, financial institutions, and insurance companies. But really, anyone living here who pays their taxes and operates a business on the coast, anywhere in this area, should be looking. It's a very broad program to help deal with the indirect harm that the oil spill caused us.
And what is the actual deadline to file a claim?
The current deadline is April 22nd, 2014. So we are very close to the deadline. Now there's a possibility of an extension because of a lot of the appeals BP has been filing. But for consumers and business owners, I would say file now because that deadline could stick. And if it's a claim. So this is the time to act.
So if you file a claim and then you want to sort of so it's in the books,
yes,
and then you need to sort of change it around, it's still going to be good because you're already made that claim?
There's no doubt. Once we file a claim, there's always work as we supplement the information, but you need to get the claim filed and get the basic documents in to get started.
And why did BP produce this program?
This is a very creative solution to a very big problem like this in the Gulf of Mexico.
I know it was like so depressing when it was happening every day. It was
and
like
we watched the TV as it's boiling out, and
it was horrible.
It went on and on. But it was a problem, and so they said, hey, listen, we need to look at both the direct economic impacts we know that are going to happen: hotels, tourism. People are not going to come to our state, and that's not just Florida. That's Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama. So how do we deal with that? And then most importantly, how do we deal with the indirect harm? Because consumer spending is really what hurt us here when you get off the beaches. If people aren't spending money because they're afraid there's going to be oil on the beach and this economy is not going to recover, that's what really dropped in, and that's what the program
So it seems like almost everybody was affected by that oil spill.
When we talk to business owners, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of business owners, for whatever reason, were insulated from it. And then there's a group, because of who their clients are or how they spend money, a lot of discretionary spending type of items, where those businesses absolutely dropped indirectly because of it, and that's what the program really is targeted to help.
And so how do they prove that?
They use two main sources of information: federal tax returns, that's really a fraud protection, and then profit and loss statements on a monthly basis. So how did you make money in the years prior to the spill? What happened in the year of the spill, and what happened the year after? And what they're looking for is a drop after the oil spill, which would be consistent with an indirect harm or direct harm, and then a rebound the following year. And the idea is really simple. If it was oil related and the oil didn't wash up on the beaches, you should rebound naturally when that fear went away. And if you have that drop and that rebound, your business will qualify.
Well, what about if my business dropped and people didn't come back to this coast of Florida because of that? Well, they got used to being on the East Coast, for instance.
Sure.
So that rebounding might not happen as fast as one might think.
Sure, and it doesn't have to be a complete rebound. They've set out, depending on where your business is located geographically, different formulas. But really what they're looking for statistically is something that's, compared to their former business in the year after, that's a notable change that wouldn't otherwise be explained.
I mean, like even hairdressers or, in retailing and...
No question. I mean, if you were doing your nails and you were worried about money, if you were going to buy a new car, you probably put it off to the next year. If you're going to go to the plastic surgeon for any reason, you may have put that off. I mean, you can think of all the different ways we make choices about spending money, whether it's eating or it's luxury items or it's travel. And so when there's choice, in this period of time, people were making the choice not to spend, and that hurt everyone.
Yes, I didn't even think about that even the people that were here, just, the regular, people that live here, they were impacted, so therefore everybody else was going to be impacted, from the plastic surgeons to the nail techs to the dry cleaners and everybody else. That's very interesting. So how does somebody know if they have a claim, and then how can they, and that they deserve compensation? How would they go about doing all this?
Well, I tell people, it's really, you just have to look.
Look at those
we're a law firm.
statements?
You have to look. There's economic formulas that look at your financial data and look at your tax returns. And it's either in those documents or it's not. that loss and that rebound will be there. So the program was set up. There's a whole bunch of mechanisms in the program. It was designed as a federal class action, so if people looked and they didn't have claims, they wouldn't have charges related to that. So it is designed to encourage people to look, and if they have the documentation that back up a claim, then the claim will get paid by the program.
Interesting. And so, what's the largest claim they've had to pay?
Well, that's a interesting question. So the program is completely confidential. So we don't know who made a claim or what they got paid. I can tell you from experience representing a lot of clients that the average claim value is about $240,000 per claim, and there are certainly $1 million claims for larger businesses that were really significantly impacted.
Well, terrific. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you again.
For all that good information. And next on Suncoast FYI, an American classic, The Grapes of Wrath, is the new production at Oslo Rep, and we're joined by two of the actors, so keep it right here on SNN. Welcome back.